We just got done with Through Ice and Snow coming to Kickstarter soon, and man, that was a really kick you in the face kind of worker placement game.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Whoop, whoop.
What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today with another Thoughts from the Corner. I'm here with my good friends Lucy and Adam.
Hey.
And we're going to be talking about the upcoming Through Ice and Snow from Two Tomatoes. This is for 1 to 4 players. Take it 45 to 90 minutes to play, and it's for ages 14 plus. And this is a worker placement game in which you're going to have your little player board right here, and you're going to be going across Canada trying to discover new lands. And pretty much the basic flow of the game is on your turn, you're going to place one worker out on the board, and you're going to have a couple of different workers. You're going to have a scientist worker, you're going to have a captain worker, you're going to have a carpenter worker, you're going to have some generic workers. You can recruit more workers in the form of Inuits who will be better at, taking care of your dogs and running the dogs and doing a variety of different things. Mm-hmm. And it's a point-salady style game. Now, it's semi-cooperative in a certain aspect because you could all lose.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like the chances of that happening are relatively low because we had a really, really rough game where we got two of the worst things to happen right from the jump. But I could see it happening. But the basic premise is you're going to get points by either discovering new species of animals as you go along, which you might potentially need to eat if things go bad. You can gain points by just having a whole boatload of dogs and taking your crew joyriding, so they're just happy. That's a thing you can do.
Yep.
You can gain points by... What were some of the other ones you could do?
Try and bankrupt the other people on oil or fuel so that they have to pay you points to tow them.
Yes, you can score points because there's these random events that will happen, but you only get to really decide that if you're the first person, which once... Yeah, it's a point-salady style game. There's not a crazy amount of ways to score points, but I'd say there's enough that you'd have some different strategies from time to time to time.
Yeah, I mean, because, it sort of, balances the aspect of, you also need to, get things to survive.
Yes, and that's the one word that I really want to hit on here. This is a survival worker placement game because you have to deal with morale. You have to deal with the health of your people. You have to deal with feeding your people. And no, the health of your people and feeding your people are two different things. Your people can get scurvy, which case you have less workers concerned. Your people can die, which means they're gone forever and ever. They're out.
They're out of the game.
It's a really interesting game. I don't feel like it feels like any other game that I've played. Is there anything else that I didn't mention, right from the offsets?
It reminds me a little bit of that one game though, was it Let It Die?
Don't Let It Die?
Don't Let It Die.
Yeah, I love that game.
It reminds me a little bit of that kind of survivalness of just hey, there's things that you can hunt to gain some food and some health, but also some things that give you some offshoots of some food and health, but are worth a lot of points at the end because you're discovering animals.
Yeah, it's all these tracks, and you're if you ignore one, that's what's going to be your Achilles heel.
Yeah, we all had different things. Yeah, you have to be juggling in this game.
Yeah, it definitely is. It balances, because there's not a lot of ways to get points, but you're just having to distract yourself, okay, I want to earn some points, but I also need to survive. And, for example, you get the example of, fuel and oil. That's something you also need to survive, but you can also use it as leverage to get points from other people.
Build cabins, by the way. You can build cabins along the way. And I think it's important we talk about one of the unique quirks of the game, which is that you start off with just one chunk of the board, but as you explore, whoever is the lead expedition person then gets to decide which side they want to add, and that's another way you can score points. There's a Ticket to Ride kind of style aspect, not Ticket to Ride, but more if you explore certain locations, then you're going to get victory points at the beginning.
That can also affect how long the game is, because based on the path that you choose can be you stop at more locations or you stop at way less locations.
Yep, the path, and that's there's a lot of little moving parts and pieces in this game, but I don't think it's a terribly difficult game at its core to understand. The worker placement I felt was easy, because they have the color coded system.
Yeah, there's very much a restriction, because you can still get analysis paralysis with this game, but it's very much unless you get some certain upgrades, your captain can only do captain things, or if you want to do carpenter things, you have to use your carpenter.
Yes. So let's get to our thoughts on it. Who wants to start with it?
Sure. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I felt like there were some things that were could have been improved, with the icons and things. They have these little cards where you're supposed to go to certain locations and I thought I had got all of them, but really I'd only gotten one. And they needed to work on just numbering them or like naming them or changing a color or something.
I think part of the reason why they didn't do that, and I actually agree with you, is probably because they wanted this to be thematic, and by doing that, it would make the board look a little bit less thematic. But I agree with you. I think the user friendliness is more important than the theme of it, because I also had the same issue. I thought I had gotten 2. I did actually get 2, but it was because one of them that I didn't think I got, I'd actually got it, and the one that I didn't think I did. But that also is partially on me, because I was never focused on that. I was always constantly on my back foot, because another way you can score points, and I guess there is quite a good few ways, is you can place cabins along the way. And when you place cabins, you can leave behind food. Don't leave behind a lot of food at the beginning of the game.
Which is like, like, you have these certain amount of resources, and when you lay a cabinet, and you're like, I'm going to get rid of this many resources, and later on you're like, that was a terrible idea. Why did I leave all that food back there?
Well, and here's the other thing. I think that there is going to be a vastly different gaming experience you're going to get at 2 or 4 players. And I say that because I tried it at 2 players the first time, and it was not nearly as mean. But at 4 players, that board fills up. And if you're not one of the first 2 people, it's like, well, I hope you weren't planning on getting gas.
Also, there were a lot of those event cards. So you could play and not get any bad events. And in that case, you're just going to be like, well, I've got tons of food. I've got tons of oil.
And
other times, like for example, like what was happening in our game was like I was getting starved on fuel because either I didn't have food to burn, or
that's why, because I was just burning the. I would take the fuel. I would take first player, and then I would take the fuel. And then Alan would take it right after me.
Yeah, and it would shut me out. But you can still, even when you're shut out, though, there are different ways to earn points. Like, for example, even though I was losing a lot of points and giving them to my players, it was still pretty close overall with their scores because I was just earning it with, like, for example, dogs.
Yeah, and you guys kept upgrading your sleds, and I couldn't do it. It was like every time, like, I would be like, as soon as I was going to do it, it was like the person, like, you would, and I'm just like, I was gonna do.
It's a tight board, and it's the higher player counts. And I think one thing you mentioned that I'm glad you brought up, which I think gives it some legs as well, is the upgrades were interesting as well. Like one of the upgrades that really saved me from not getting towed as much as I was trashing on you was because I used my upgrade I think 3 or 4 times where I could turn wood into gas, and some of them just get you flat victory points, the boring ones. But then you had the one that let you use you use anybody as a captain or captain as a
And I also with the iconography, like, because I think you said you get bonuses for upgrading. I think that should have also been on the player board.
Yeah. But, I mean, I will say the player board right now it's chocked full, but and you can't really flip it over to put anything on the back. But
I would have looked for, like, right here, there's a couple of icons.
Great point, So, it should be way clearer on here. That's mostly just for the publishers, but they should totally put, because the more upgrades you do, the better bonuses you get, and, What did you think about it, Lucy?
It was... I don't really know. It's a little odd.
It is. It definitely is.
It's odd. It is a very, like, it's, I don't want to say it's mean-spirited, but it definitely is very much, you have to do what you need to do.
And you have to do, and, I mean...
Well, it was like, I couldn't upgrade my sleds, but I never felt like, because I can't do that, that's why I'm going to lose.
Yeah.
I never felt like that.
Yeah, because, for example, like, I was shut out of fuel, so at some point I had to be like, I want to get points, but I'm going to end up giving my points to this person.
Yeah,
so you have to get
fuel. Extra.
And they were big chunks of points that you were losing there at the end.
Yeah, but I was also still pretty close because, again, I had a backup plan with my dogs.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it as well. I'm really excited to try the solo, which was not included in the rules, because I'm hoping the solo is difficult. Because that's the one thing I think the game did do well. I felt like the theme comes across pretty well.
Yes. Yeah. It was very much like, at some point I was like, how are we going to run out of fuel? I start with 10. Oh, people keep asking for 2 fuel each time.
Yeah, and it's a struggle. It's a struggle. Like, there's so many times on my turn, it's like, I have to do this, and then I have to do this.
I'm desperate on food, but for my first turn, I was like, I'm going to get a whole bunch of food. I'm set. My people might mutiny. They may be miserable, but gosh darn it, they're fed.
And I was like, my people are always going to be happy. My people are always going to, like... they're always going to like where they are. They're going to be healthy.
I did enjoy the game. I think it's just not for me, because I think the same thing with, like, Don't Let It Die. I'm not the biggest fan of, like, those kind of, like, Minecraft Survivor type of games, or, like, Don't Starve, like, for video game references. That's all I got.
And I know a lot of people, I agree to a certain aspect. It's like, because it is. Sometimes where it's like, your turn is like, I have to do this, and you're like, what do I got left over? It's like,
It's like I have nothing left over and I can barely earn points. Or it's very much like your first turn is very important.
Unforgiving, I think, is a good word. It can be very unforgiving, especially if you're a new player and you don't realize that you shouldn't do X, Y, or Z. I think but then again, it's only unforgiving because we had, it might have just been only unforgiving because we got so stuck on the back foot.
See? Oh, go ahead.
No, which just makes me think, I think if you like swingy event cards, I think you're going to like this more than if you don't. Because some of the event cards were very swingy. Like some of those ones where it's like, dang, that's so good for you.
Like we lost 4 fuel that one round when I was captain.
But you have to be the leader to get.
But see, here's the thing: if you guys had been like, "Screw it, I'm just not gonna go for fuel," and it was like I was able to do that because you guys were like scrounging for it, right? If you had just been like, "Screw it, let it go," then I would have been like, "Oh, I can't be the leader because I'm not gonna have enough fuel for everybody." And it would have been like, you would have forced me to stop taking fuel and start doing other things.
And then we could all lose the game. Like, that could be the scenario where it's...
And so then you guys would have to take the oil late in order to, like, get that, you know?
There was a balance of, like, social power where it's like... Because if there was a spot open, one of us would have taken that fuel. If like, our 2 friends, if you or Alan didn't take that fuel. One of us usually did.
Yeah.
Because we just didn't want to lose points.
Mm-hmm.
Though at some point I was just like, you know what? Either you take it or you don't.
Yeah.
Get those 15 points. Then I was like, oh no.
I think at the end of the day, my biggest recommendation on this is I would go watch a gameplay video. I would go watch a gameplay video and read the rules and I'd see if it's for you. Because I think it's going to be...
Or your group, yeah.
Yeah, because I think, because I also, full disclosure, I'll be honest, the other person who played hated the game. Mm-hmm. So I don't ever want to play this again. He says that a lot more than I think most people I play with, though. But there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just mentioning that.
He also doesn't particularly like worker placement games.
He doesn't. That hurts my heart.
Yeah.
But through ice and snow, I enjoyed it overall, though. I'm excited to see
if you like survival type of games, like if you're a big fan of like those, like I need to get points but also scrounge for my supplies, I think this is... So definitely the theme comes across perfectly. You're desperate for morale. You're desperate for like food and everything. It gave me like that whole like, I don't want to say Lovecraftian feel, but just like that whole like desperate against like everything.
Yeah, completely. I mean, there were so many points in this game where I was just like, I don't even know what the hell I'm going to do.
Like, people are starving, but they're happy.
But, and as Through Ice and Snow, an interesting one, go check this out. It looks like it might be a cup of tea. Kickstarter link down below. Also, if you enjoy the content, please be sure to click on the subscribe button. I'm starting to reach 10,000 subscribers, celebrate my 10-year anniversary of making YouTube content. And in the comments below, let me know. Would you rather go exploring in... I don't know, somebody else has a question. That question sucked.
Yeah, I mean, I want to stay home.
$600, what are you going to do with it right now? I give it to you. You
What?
can't save it. $600. You got to go blow it right now. What are you blowing it on?
Gambling.
Gambling. That's a great one. It could be done in like 3 seconds. So
Yeah, that's fine.
$600. Don't save it.
I'll buy Switch games.
All right. How many? You gonna go cheap or you gonna get the good ones?
Right. I'll get 3 $60 ones and then go hit some 45s.
What
You going
games are you
used?
looking for?
Yeah.
What games are you looking forward to? in
What
Switch?
games am I looking forward to?
Yeah, for Switch.
We just got it in December, so there's a
Oh.
whole bunch of games
Oh,
that
you're
I'm
gonna catch
excited
up.
about. Yeah.
I'm gonna get $600, and I would go ahead and I kind of want to go gambling with you. You driving? Through Ice and Snow, though.
Don't you
Go
have a
check
new
this one
kid,
out.
though?
What?
Don't you have a new kid?
Yeah, that's why I need to go gambling. Let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks for your time, YouTube.
See ya.
This video is brought to you by all of my amazing Patreon supporters, and I would love it if you would join their ranks and have your name immortalized in the end of many of my videos for the end of time. But consider for only $1 a month, and as always, thanks for stopping by.